answer our questions? Governor, as long as you were governor, are you going to answer our questions?
So we'll get to that, and certainly I'll be available after my comments outside to ask the questions that you have on mind with me. But first, I want to just say this. The governor has done a great job for the state of Rhode Island and has worked very hard to keep us safe. And I saw her at a national press conference with the President of the United States. This is a source of pride for everyone that lives in the state of Rhode Island, to have a governor to serve in the cabinet of the President of the United States. So I thank you for your service, Governor. And for me, I'm in a good spot because your staff has been incredibly communicating with me and my office for 6 years. And over the last 10 months, that interaction has increased. So that has put me in a good spot in a transition. Transitions are not new to me. As a mayor, I became a mayor-elect, and I also became a mayor who had to make way for a new mayor to come in and take over duties in the town of Cumberland. I understand the dynamics of it. I understand the challenges of that. As a mayor, there was only room for one mayor at a time. As a governor, there's only room for one governor at a time. And we're going to work through the transition for the benefit of all the people who live in our state, all 39 cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. Being here for a few minutes, I want to just thank the opportunity, as I've seen from a distance, my first time on this stage, but I've been watching. And we've been working to communicate with everybody in the state of Rhode Island during that time frame, doing our part as a lieutenant governor to get us through one of the most difficult and challenging health crises and economic crises that the state has ever seen. So I want to just thank our frontline workers, our nurses, our doctors, hospital staff for giving their all to save lives and protect our health. Small businesses are struggling like never before. And we're concerned whether or not they're actually going to make it through. And we need to continue to do everything we can to protect their families, their businesses, and the economy of the state of Rhode Island. Parents are concerned about their children's education. Our heroic teachers are rightfully worried about their safety. And everyone is wondering, when will a vaccine finally reach me? So as a lifelong Rhode Islander, a former mayor, small business owner, state official, I have always been committed to seeing this state succeed. And I want you to know that our transition process will be seamless, particularly when it comes to the pandemic response and the vaccine rollout. I've fully been briefed and continue to be briefed with the COVID team, and as the governor mentioned, that team is going to stay intact and continue to do that extraordinary work that they have been doing for the last several months. And I've spoken to Speaker Sakachi, Senate President Ruggiero. In the coming weeks, I intend to connect with our neighborhoods, neighboring governors to discuss how we can work together. I'll have a call with one of the governors this afternoon. And we're going to be a government that listens and works hand in hand with our partners in all 39 cities and towns. Because we all have the same goal. Governor Raimondo, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee has the same goal: to build a strong future for Rhode Island. So I'll leave it at that. Today is about COVID. It's about the health of the state of Rhode Island. Dr. Scott's going to present information that's important for all Rhode Islanders to hear and see. I'm going to be available. I'm going to listen to Dr. Scott's remarks as in preparation to continue the education that I'm going to need to continue to do a good job as the governor heads to Washington and becomes a Commerce Secretary. So I'll be in the audience listening to Dr. Scott, and afterwards I'll be available to speak with the media outside and Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, we'll be down in Warwick at a small business having a press event, and we'll get into more detail about the issues that I'm sure are on your mind that you want to talk about today. Today's about COVID, today's about health, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure the people of the state of Rhode Island are safe, everything we can to get as many people vaccinated as fast as we possibly can.